Hello, it's you're listening to another ScoutCast on www.fantasyfootballscout.co.uk, and my name is Mark.
My name is Granville.
My name is Jonty.
My name's Andy.
And my name's Az.
Thank you, Az and Andy, for not being sensible there. It's very good. Yeah, we're back. Happy New Year, everybody. We're back for 2018, the first ScoutCast of 2018, episode 245. Not a lot happened while we were away. There's a bit of football, I suppose, but nothing much. But yeah, we got a lot to catch up on, of course. And it's good to be back. And we've got 5 of us, so we'll be here till 1 a.m. yet again. Jonty, what are we going to be discussing tonight? It's a bumper episode, sure.
It is, yes. We've got a lot of questions, so hopefully we can speed through them. So we're looking at latest developments in Man City. In particular, Jesus' injury and its impact on the other players, and Sanchez possibly joining them. Also looking at the incredible rise of Lingard as a fantasy asset, Alonso's essential status, search for a third striker, ever continuing search. Post-Coutinho Liverpool, he's off, so what's going to happen there? A bit of early planning around the blanks as well. There's going to be some blank fixtures and double game weeks coming up, and we need to plan a little bit already. And also all the usual stuff. Got some rough with the smooths, and search for some more fancy island risks, clean sheets. And when we look at our game weeks, we're not looking at one game week, we're looking at a whole bunch. It's been busy.
We've only got ourselves to blame. People were nagging us to try and get a ScoutCast in over Christmas, but we needed the break. We needed to come back fresh. I'm not saying we have come back fresh. I mean, look at the state of me, but we're back and we're keen to get going again. And we're going to go for our game weeks. And first of all, we've got to start with Az, who, what a terrific Christmas. To be fair, none of us have got much to moan about. We all got green arrows and all went up. But Az, and Granville in particular, had stellar Christmases. Absolutely. So we'll start with you, Az. Up to 728 in the world. It's nosebleed time over there, isn't it?
Yeah, I've never been this high before. So
Is that really the case?
I've never been in the top 1K before.
Right.
So in I think 8 or 9 years of playing, I've never had a game week there. So I dropped out a bit. I dropped out for a few days when the doubles started, but then I clawed my way back in. So yeah, I was quite happy. It's just been my defence really, which has really sort of pushed me on. Otamendi, Alonso, Kenny has done really well, and then I got in Coutinho quite early, and he's been doing really well. And I was really sad to have to get rid of him this week, thanks to his dream move.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the transfer you've made, I guess. Is it?
I've already made it. Lingard was going up, and Coutinho was dropping, so had to make that move. But yeah, up from about 7,000 to 700. So yeah, really happy. 314, a great tally just behind you, Granville, and the wild card. I'll say it now, the best wild card on the ScoutCast this season, hands down. Jonty can tease me all you like and whatever. This is a fantastic example of how to play the wild card. You've been on the ascent for weeks now, but you're only 18 points behind me now, and up to 48,000 in the world. You must be chuffed, Granville. Back in it.
Yeah, I had a bad run, didn't I? I had a bad run just around the end of November, beginning of December. I had to play, and I knew I was going to play my wildcard at some point before game week 22, I think was the last week you could play it. And so I was just biding my time, and unfortunately it worked out. I played it at the exact moment I should have played it. It's also about getting the right players, of course, but 4th and 5th midfielders have got Son and Lingard, and every week they've been returning points. And that has really helped. Also, when Otamendi dropped my 2 City strikers, well, I was left with Aguero, and he wasn't doing anything. Very disappointing. And got Alonso and Firmino, and they've all been scoring points. Kane, I got the 2 hat-tricks, so I got him in when I needed to get him in. Of course, Salah and Sterling have had all along. So
I remember when you played it, John T commented about, and we were all a bit surprised you went Kane because you were a bit anti-Kane. Of all of us, you were probably the most in that camp. But you got him at just the right time. You timed it absolutely perfectly. And like you say, Son, Lingard, Firmino, they all hit form immediately after you got them in. Incredible. Perfect wild card, basically.
Lingard was the sort of wild card, and a lot of people questioning why I put him in, because at the time he wasn't nailed on, or he may have thought he was getting a few lucky goals, but then I thought at 6, I think I what I gave him at 5.8 or something. It was ridiculously cheap. I just thought I've got nothing to lose here. If he doesn't play, then so what? It's no big deal. I've got 7 other good forward players, and so it's just a bit of a pomp. But now it seems that he's a player that everybody wants.
Yeah, when we're going to talk about him later in the show, but you were first on board, and that is a lot to do with the fact that you've been boosted so much. So 311 up to 48,000 in the world. John, to your next 292. You've got to be happy with that, haven't you?
Yeah. So I'm up to just on the edge, the cusp of the 5,000. I briefly went into the top 5,000 over Christmas. But yeah, I mean, I kind of planned for it. I looked at it as a kind of mini season, really. And going for that. So I was looking at, there was going to be lots of rotation. So, but yeah, the smooth route was nailing the captaincies. So I've got Sterling, Kane and Salah captaincies. So they all got me huge hauls there. So I still got all my chips. I just took one hit over Christmas, and that was just to kind of splash out the double game week. Firmino had in, was just returning. Schindler I got in as well, managed to get me 9 points the 1 week I played him. So the bench was doing well. And Eriksen and Ali, I got in for the double game week. Didn't do spectacular, but at least they got me some points. So that's the smooth bit, really, for me. But the rough, well, a couple of roughs, really. One, like everyone, really, Kane double game week captain, really let me down, let everyone down.
Triple captain.
And as triple captain, there are lots of people, 100,000 or so triple captained him. But the big one really was I got Pogba in. And now I've got to credit Granville here. He was saying to me, why are you getting Pogba in? This was weeks ago. You should be getting Lingard in. And I just didn't think he was going to be, the same reasons, didn't think he was going to be nailed on. Just thought Pogba would do it. So I had Pogba in for all his blanks over Christmas and got rid of him for the double game week when he actually finally plays up front and in an attacking role and gets 12 points. So yeah, I've discovered the risk with Pogba. If he's going to play up front, you look at the team sheet and you see him playing up there, great. All his owners can be happy. You can have a big party. But if you start seeing him like moving back, then he's going to get you nothing. Yeah, the answer to that is Lingard.
Yeah, you were a bit unlucky because you got rid of Hazard and Pogba. Neither of them were doing anything, but justifying their value. Yeah, and then they go and both do well in that game week.
But yeah, I mean, that's the thing with the double game week. Would I do that again? I would do that any week. If you got a double game week, you got a player like Eriksen or Ali, and they still got me points in. So I'm not too bad. As I said, up to. Went up quite a lot in the rankings. So
I was surprised you went Ali and Eriksen. You did go in both feet, didn't you?
I went. Well, that's it. Because one of the things I just thought, one of the advantages I had is that I had quite a team I was happy with, but I had these 2 transfers saved up, so I knew I could make 3 moves. So I could get Arnautovic in, I could get, and also had the money to get. So I was talking to lots of people. They're saying, which Spurs, and people saying Son. But I said, if you had the money, who would you get? Would you get Eriksen and Ali, or would you get Eriksen and Son, or Ali and Son? And pretty much everyone said Eriksen and Ali. If you got the money, go for them. And I think of the pair, Ali is the one that impressed me more than Eriksen. Although a lot of people have been not happy with Ali, they didn't think his play was that good. But I'm just looking at it from a fantasy point of view. He just seemed that much more attacking. And of course, Rose is out, so that means Davis is playing. And Davis is playing, that means that Eriksen's not on so many set pieces. So his worth diminishes, really. So, but it's worth a try. Everyone knows with the double game, you've got to give it a go.
Yeah, I mean, you really went for it. I mean, going now to a manager always goes for double game. It's Andy. 275 up to 51,000. Green arrows again. You fairly happy with that at Christmas?
I'm fairly happy if I don't look at everyone else's scores in kind of the mods and cons league, because obviously the 3 we've just been through did so well. I actually didn't go all in on the double game week. I kind of made my decision the week before to take out Hazard for Lingard and to get Firmino in. That kind of ruled me out of going for 2 Spurs mids. So I went for Son. So I'm pretty happy about that because he top scored. Lingard almost matched Ali and Eriksen anyway. So in the end, double game week was a bit of a washout. I had Kane captain, so didn't really get punished. Got a green arrow that week. My kind of smooth. We were asked before the break what our Christmas wishes were, and mine was to finally nail some captains. And the 3 captains during 4 of the game weeks are my highest captain scores for the whole season. I've had as many scores over 20 in the last 4 weeks as the whole rest of the season, so that was good.
I think we all got our wish if you look back to.
You know what my wish was? Having a hat-trick. Incredible.
Stay top.
That's how good Salah is to you. And then kind of a rough. I had I can't remember what game. I think it was game week 19 or 20. I had Maguire playing Man United, and I'd already made 2 transfers for free, and I just had it in my head that I had to get rid of him. There was no way I could play him. So instead of bringing in Jones, I brought in Smalling to try and be clever. Maguire scores the winner, so I miss out on that. And then the next game week, Smalling got injured, so I had to transfer him to Jones anyway. So not too good there. And then a kind of a jammy. I was almost about to get rid of Kane until Morata got suspended, and that kind of halted that move. So if Morata hadn't been suspended, I could be sat with a lot less points. So I'm quite happy about that.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, it was Chelsea. Chelsea were a bit of a pain over Christmas. So I had the Christensen illness, which came out and which lost me a couple of clean sheets because I think he would have started at least one of those. And then Morata, who I got back in again. I said I didn't fancy him, but that was just for watching him in those two games, Stoke and Arsenal, was just hilarious. You got to laugh or you cry, and I decided to laugh because some of the chances. I turned the TV on when he was through on the first one-on-one, and I thought I was hallucinating because I was like, it was a really strange. Arsenal just seemed to stop as if he was offside, and he just ran through, and I'm like, he's going to score this. And like, as soon as I turned the TV on, as soon as he missed that, I thought he's gone, isn't he? His confidence is gone, and yeah, to be fair, his other two chances are a bit more difficult, but. That first one set him up. So Morata hurt me over Christmas. Christensen did as well. Chelsea didn't do me too many favours, but I did get Alonso with a hit, which worked out. And I took some hits to get Lingard as well. That worked out. So not too happy with the score, but I got green arrows, and I'm very happy with the team that's come out of Christmas. I've got the players I want now, so I'm okay. I'm quite happy with that. As I say, we've all got to be fairly happy with that with the Christmas. The double game week was the anticlimax for all of us, though. We kind of built it up, didn't we? and thanks to another bout of illness, another cold, Harry Kane let us down. The conditions at Swansea, though, if I was Harry Kane watching that match, I wouldn't want to come on either. I thought he was going to get called off at one point.
He looked so rusty.
It was like a Sunday league.
I know.
It looked like some pictures I used to play when I was like 14, 15.
Yeah, it was.
Well, did you see him in the game against West Ham? He looked really, really rusty, as if he hadn't played for a few hours, which is actually the case.
A few hours is about what he got off, yeah.
He didn't look right at all. It's a shame. I mean, the thing is, if you got a Spurs player, I mean, I did consider captaining Son, but it had to be Kane, really. Yeah. I mean, even with the illness, it didn't feel right not to captain him. I think we all only Az went for the triple captain, so we all sort of, backed him with caution. I guess is the phrase, really, because I think we'd have all triple captain and then it not been for the illness.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, let's go to Az because of the Christmas. I mean, obviously you had the best one. That is the only thing, really, isn't it? The one downside, the one caveat, I think, to your flying Christmas is the fact the triple captain has gone. So talk us through what you were thinking there. Why didn't the flag put you off? Why were you just set on it?
The flag didn't put me off because I looked at it the wrong way. I thought he's got a cold, but he's going to play. I just thought he'd play. It's as simple as that. And I thought the flag would put other people off, so it'd make him a better option to use it. And I thought, if people don't triple captain him, and I do, and then he plays both of those games, he could easily get 3 or 4 goals in those games, and and it could shoot my rank up. I mean, that Swansea game, I have to say, is I've never been as angry and stressed as watching that game because I got in Ali and Son as well, triple captain Kane. Kane didn't play. Eriksen got the assist early on, who I didn't have. Llorente scored the goal that Kane probably would have got, and it was offside. And then Kane comes on. Sissoko's just awful, giving the ball away every second. Kane could have had a penalty. Son went down, that would have been an assist. And then it just carried on into West Ham. Sissoko was awful again. I could have had another penalty. Kane missed a load of chances. It was painful. It was so painful, those 2 games. I can't put it into words. I'm still not over it,
though, aren't we? Because it's typical of Kane to get 2 hat-tricks and then do that. It's like when we most needed him to deliver, he didn't. And then when we didn't expect him to, e.g. the Burnley away game, which on paper looked like 1-0 at best, he goes and gets a hat-trick. And it kind of sums up his season and the frustration he's given us all year. And obviously, Jay's not with us tonight, but, what a blow he got from Kane. And he got him back for double game week, and then lo and behold, doesn't get many points.
I think the problem was I didn't have enough time to talk myself out of it because I kind of thought about, I had it on him the whole time, and then suddenly it was that game week, and I thought, well, that's it now. I'm going to keep it on him. No one else is talking. Everyone else is taking it off him, so I'm going to keep it. And then, if I'd had a couple more days, I probably would have gone off him. But
I think for me, because I thought it was really odd that Pochettino announced that he had the cold, because we had Rooney over Christmas just not turn up, and then it was announced on the day, oh yeah, he's got a cold, so he's not playing. And the fact that Pochettino said on the Thursday or the Friday, yeah, Kane's a doubt for Monday's game, or was it Tuesday's game? I was like, that's a bit odd, saying it 4 days before the match. That made me think that it was perhaps not just a sniffle, that there was something, a major issue. And that made me think, well, he's probably going to be, I thought he was going to start, but I thought he's probably going to be leggy and not at his best. And then he'll probably only get an hour because you need him for the West Ham game. So that was the factors. I thought he would play, but I just was doubting about how weary he would be.
How about this for a theory then? Pochettino wanted to rest him, but didn't want to take the risk of resting him. So use that as an excuse, is cold as an excuse to say that, well, if Spurs don't win that game and Kane is on the bench, well, he couldn't do anything about it because he was, because he had a cold.
Yeah, I think this does go on. I think the managers do try and play up injuries and say, well, that gives them a reason not to play them. I think it could be a factor. But I think he looked. It was funny because the Instagram post that went out on New Year's Eve, did you see it? Him by his Christmas tree. And the best theory I saw was, well, he's going to be fine because he's not wearing any socks. So no man with man flu would be lying there without socks on. And I thought that was brilliant.
It genuinely influenced me a bit, that picture.
Did it? I thought he looked dreadful in it. I thought his eyes were red.
He had a very red nose, but someone was pointing out that it was kind of staged. So it was meant to be his in-laws, but they were thinking, why would you take 8 footballs to your in-laws for Christmas?
That wasn't his in-laws, was it?
There's something like that. Yeah, he was like he was meant to be his, I don't know. That's it. It turns into a soap opera, doesn't it? Looking at the colour of Kane's nose, how many balls he's carrying to his
That's a beautiful thing about fantasy football, looking at all that.
It's like bib theory, nose theory, bib theory, 8-ball theory.
Sock theory, I love the sock theory. And then there was that poor guy who was staying at the Marriott Hotel the night of the match who tweeted those photos.
Barry, wasn't it?
Yeah. And he got lambasted, isn't he? As if he was to blame for the double.
Barry had photo with him and Kane, and everyone was saying, how's Kane looking? He said, oh, he looks great. Yeah, of course, because he's like, he's a 6-foot athlete. Of course he looks good next to Barry. But unfortunately, Barry wasn't as in the know as we assumed he was, being a bloke called Barry that we randomly just met.
one of the characters of the season there created, unbeknown to himself, that he's got this following now of fantasy football.
I think it's great. I think it's great to have people like Barry out there, and all of those people who are outside the whatever hotel it is in Manchester saying, "Oh, so and so hasn't turned up from the Manchester United squad," and all that. Yeah, it's great. That's what we need. Lots more of that.
It was good. Okay, let's look at Rufford's move in the community now then, Jonty.
Yeah, so we've got a young fella called Jay. I don't know if you remember him. He popped onto the Scout. He was doing really well, and as true fashion, get someone who's doing well on the Scoutcast, and we completely derail their season.
Yeah, I mean, just to say as well, we haven't invited him tonight, so it's not like he hasn't turned up. We will get him back on.
No, we definitely will get him back as well. Yeah. So, he's still doing okay, but he's so we've got 239, so that's around 75 less than Az, for example. He went down from 126 in the world to 858, so still a great rank, but he did that really to push up into the top 10. There was a bit of research, Top Marks, who analyzes the people at the top of our Hall of Fame, and he reckons there was a moment when he could have been about 6th in the world if he'd kept Harry Kane. So a bit of a reminder, Jay basically, he took out Kane, but he didn't just take out Kane, he took a 12-point hit as well. And in the end, over those 4 game weeks, he took 20 points in hits, all in all. And as you said earlier, the main thing really was he got rid of Kane and for all his hat-tricks, then got him back when he was all coldy and cuddling Barry in the Marriott. So not great. Mr. Funny Name is another one. 216 points. So that's a clear 100 or so less than Az, for example. He took out Kane again. So it's all that. Basically, took out Kane and didn't replace him with someone good. You're stuffed, really. And he went down from 150,000 to 420,000. Big hit there. So we've got some smooths as well, just a few of these. So most of these were people who basically nailed the captaincy, and then they got in the likes of Firmino and Alonso. So they got those ones. So Say My Name, he got 337, which is great. He went from 1.1 million to 133,000 in the world. That is absolutely phenomenal. And there's another chap there, Bob Bradley's Opportunity, 321. He went from 245,000 to 27,000. pretty great. And the last one is Anathalo. He went from 51,000 in game week 17. So I've gone back a little bit here. And the reason I've done that is he basically captained Alonso in game week 18. So it's a risk and it paid off. And then over Christmas, he kept doing these types of things, stuck to the basics, and he basically rose all the way up to 186 in the world. And he finished it at 315. So top 500, and he was 50,000 or so before that, really. So he's firmly in the top 500. I think that's absolutely great. And what's good about that is lots of people listening will be at whatever rank they are and think, oh my God, I'm never going to be really hard. I'm never going to be challenging for these. But there's a few here. They're in the top 500. They're just out of a good few weeks.
Yeah, and that was without the double game weeks. He did that while taking a few risks with his captaincy. Alonso, as we're going to look at later in the show, perhaps not a risk for the captaincy at all, as it turned out. But yeah, I mean, that's fantastic work. That's good to see. Okay, let's look at some of the community questions then. We're going to look at Man City first. Don't know what the latest score is. When I left it was 1-1 in the EFL Cup.
2-1. Aguero scored.
Okay, so Aguero came on and scored. We're going to talk now about Aguero, aren't we, John Teaser? We've got some questions. Mark, first.
Yeah, so Mark Harborough is Aguero a no-brainer with no competition now from Gabriel Jesus, who, as if people didn't know, is now injured for a number of weeks? Or is it best to stick to City midfielders and defenders? Beza is now the time for our Sergio. Or are there just simply too many City fixtures? And this is something that a few people have picked up on also. He is questioning Aguero slightly. Only 3 double-digit hauls all season, he says. Sanchez possibly joining. This is another issue we need to look at here. So is it really worth getting Aguero? And surely we'd be better off getting Sterling, KDB, and who are cheaper and more involved. Golosaurus also wonders about Sanchez, what impact it could have. Powell does as well. And just a knock-on effect from that, really, which we might get some time at the end of this little bit to talk about, is Speedy Boys asks, what about Arsenal? So we need to have a think about them and how they might be affected by Sanchez moving to City.
Let's go to Andy first and see what his views on Aguero is, because we've been crying out for alternatives up front all season. It seems silly that a few weeks back we're even considering not going with Kane, when now all we seem to be left with is Kane. So what do we think? Aguero, a lot of people jump on him in straight away. I think he's the 5th most bought on the bench tonight, which is significant because it seems like if he was rested for that off the bat, then it looks like he's going to be needed in the league. And maybe Jesus is out for longer than we think. So, Andy, are you looking at Aguero now?
Yes. I am a bit worried about the fixtures because after the Liverpool game, they got like 5 games in 14 days. And I think they kind of maybe not struggled, but it wasn't an easy game tonight, in which case I think Aguero is going to play in the follow-up when City are playing away to Bristol City. The only thing I've got that's a pro for him is Sterling played false nine. He didn't look too good in that position. So I think they need Aguero there. And obviously it's some nice fixtures. Points per match, he's better than Kane. I think he's 3rd for kind of regular starters. So it looks good. The only thing that's putting me off, really, and this is kind of, I suppose, for my own personal team, is it's a bit of a restructure to get him in. And because we've got blank game weeks coming up, because we're in the January transfer window, and obviously there is all this business with Sanchez, it sounds like it's going to go through, I think. We'll find out what you guys think in a sec. It's possibly a bit of a restructure to get him in, only then to maybe have to get him straight back out again. So I'm definitely not getting him for Liverpool. My kind of moves right now, because we're in this kind of window where anything can happen, is I'm trying to hold my transfers as much as possible. So I'm going to hold and reassess. I've got Firmino in, which I expect most of you guys have as well. The only problem is I got him in at the end of his run of points, and I'm already worried that this is now the spell of a barren run, or the start of a barren run. So for me, he looks good. I think if you've got someone like Morata in your side, yes, he's got good fixtures, but he looks out of form, then maybe it's a bit of an easier decision because you've only got to find like $1 million or so. But for those with Firmino, I don't think it's such an easy move. I don't want to restructure my team just to then have to do it again. And I'm not getting rid of Kane because we see what kind of damage he can cause. So for me, yes, he looks good, but I don't think I'm going to bring him in.
Granville, what are your thoughts on Aguero? You had him, of course. You had him with Jesus.
I know. And then it's always difficult, when you've had someone at the beginning of the season, they'll let you down, and then getting them back. I just can't, because I was actually tempted a couple of weeks ago when I had Silva, because I knew that he wasn't going to play, to get Richarlison back in, but it just didn't feel right. It just doesn't feel right going back to a player that you just got rid of. So in terms of Aguero, no, he's let me down a little bit. As Andy said, a lot of restructuring. I'd have to get rid of Firmino, and I don't think I'm going to do that at the minute, the way that Firmino is getting involved. We'll have to see how it goes with them. I've got a third striker problem, but it just means that I have to get rid of one of my more expensive midfielders. I just can't see me doing this at the minute. I'm more likely to go for De Bruyne than I am Aguero right at this minute. But we do have to see what happens with Sanchez and whether Aguero's going to, because they've got something like 7 games in 25 days. It's a lot of football. He's not going to be playing all those games. He'll be playing against Liverpool, obviously, away from home. But then they've got a couple of home fixtures, which he could easily be rested for. I guess you can, if Sanchez doesn't come, who's he going to be rested for? But I still think he'll persist with false 9 when he needs to. Newcastle, West Brom the next 2 games. So I think at the minute I'm just going to hold and see. Okay,
that's 2 no's. As you're thinking, I mean, you're in a great position at the moment. Aguero could be the factor to push you up, or do you see it as a risk not worth taking?
I always vowed at the start of the season that if anything happened to Jesus, I would get Aguero straight in, because on paper it just seems perfect, doesn't it? Is their only fit striker, playing for the most attacking team. He's Aguero. He's got a lot going for him. And it's kind of fallen at a time where I need a bit of a team restructure anyway, like Andy was saying, because I've got 2 cheap, very cheap strikers and Kane. I've got Depotre, who doesn't play, and who plays a bit, but not every game, and Calvert-Lewin, who looks like he's now finished as an option. So there's a striker slot definitely available for my team, and I've had to lose Coutinho, so I've kind of got some extra funds. So I could, look to do that and hopefully catch some points. I mean, the thing is, he's been playing a lot, even when they've had 3 games in quick succession. Pep hasn't been afraid to play him in all 3 games. We've seen it. He played in the Cababaro Cup one week, and then played in the Premier League, and then I think played in the Champions League, and then played in the Premier League again. And that was when Jesus was fit.
Well, do you think that because he's the only striker available that he's going to be wrapped up in cotton wool?
I don't know. If you'd asked me at the start of the season, is he going to rotate to protect his players? I'd say yes, but he just hasn't seemed to do that this season. So I think you can overthink it a bit. And
well, I just think with the one striker, it's different. It's different. It's a different ball game when he's only got the 1 striker left.
Yeah, I think this is it. I agree with Granville in that he knows that he's got the Basel tie coming up after game week 27, which is Leicester at home. 3 days after that, they play Basel in the first leg. He can't risk Aguero getting injured for that unless he gets another striker in, or unless Jesus is back for that, for sure. And so my concern is, just as Granville alludes to, because he knows he's only got 1 striker, he can't take many risks with Aguero. Like, he's going to have to, he can play him once a week. Can he play him twice a week? He won't be able to. I think he's good. He rested him tonight, and I think that's significant. Obviously, he's come on and scored. I don't think he'll start the second leg either. And I don't think he'll start in the FA Cup. Hopefully that means he plays in the league games, but it's not certain. I think it much depends on what the prognosis is on Jesus, and there's some talk that it could be worse than Pep said, and it much depends on whether Sanchez comes. And I think the fact that they're making moves for Sanchez now, that indicates to me that Jesus could be out longer. That indicates to me that Guardiola's pressed a panic button a bit. I don't think he could go forward with just Aguero. He's only a fit striker from now until that Basel game. I think he's going to have to get somebody in, or he will have to do what he did tonight and play Sterling up front a couple more times at least. That's my thoughts on it anyway. I mean, I'm not doing it. I have got Morata and I've got Son, and I could easily go Son to Richarlison, Morata to Aguero, and I will save my transfers with the option to do that. So that gives me the Liverpool game to take a look at Aguero. It gives me the Leicester game to take a look at Morata again and see. But and see what Son does as well under Everton. So I've got the chance to do it, but I'm not jumping on it. And like you, I did think at the start of the season, if I knew Aguero was going to start 5 games in a row, I'd go for it. But I'm with Granville. I'm a little bit worried about what Pep's going to do, especially with the league.
I think
the league's not won yet, but it's as good as won.
I think we're also in the same position that we've always been really with Aguero. Why haven't we got him in before? Because there's doubts. And he's that amount of money. And for that amount of money, you don't want doubts. So why do people get Kane? Well, okay, we have doubts about whether he's going to score a hat-trick or get a blank. But there's no doubt about that he'll start if he's fit. There's no doubt that the whole team will try and make it so that he'll play, that he's on penalties, all of those things. There's no doubts there. But with Aguero, all of the things you just said, they're all doubts. And I think that's the problem at the moment. But I don't have any doubt that he'll play a lot of those games. I mean, you mentioned some of those games. Yeah, I think the real flashpoint, the rotation flashpoint is definitely that Leicester game. Because you've got 3 days later, you've got Basel. He's probably going to have very limited minutes or not start one of those 2 games. But the Leicester game will be arguably possibly tougher than the Basel game. It depends how he's looking at that. But the other thing about that is he could think to do that because there's a big old gap. So looking at it, they've got 10 fixtures up until about the 25th of February. So the 25th of February, I think, is when they're either going to be playing Arsenal or they're going to be in the League Cup final. So you would assume that Aguero is going to want to play that. But there's a massive 12-day gap between the Champions League Basel game. So he could easily say, well, I'm just going to flog Aguero here, just get him out for those 2 games, hammer Leicester, go hammer Basel, and then we've got there's a nice break for him there. He may be thinking that as well. So I don't think he'll start. But yeah, we don't know. Sanchez is the big one for me. That's the thing. I just don't know. I don't know how. It's not even that I think Sanchez will take his place or anything. It's more, how is Sanchez going to change the dynamics? And it's just suddenly a doubt. And so one of the things Bramble said earlier, something I do agree with. It actually, all of this points towards getting De Bruyne in as well as Sterling, because basically whatever happens, De Bruyne is going to be assisting whoever's scoring, and he's going to be involved as he has been all season. And Sterling's still going to be a threat. So,
well, it might not help. It might not help Sterling. You think if he played false 9 to 9, he may play false 9 again, which probably it's not. I don't think that's good for us.
I think it's good, but it does look like it's good for a player like De Bruyne. Yeah. Just to have good goal scoring attackers in the side, surely it's got to help him. So I'm waiting. Yeah, like everyone. I know people like us to say, oh, I'm going to do this move, and oh no, hang on a minute, he's changed his mind because events have altered his train of thought. But that's the way it is really with this. We just don't know. There are some doubts, and they got a tough game. This Liverpool game is ridiculous. You've got Liverpool and Man City. Liverpool are one of the best home defences in the league. No, the best. Man City are the best attacking force away from home. I think only Liverpool marginally better than them. So you've got these 2 incredible, unstoppable forces meeting. But plus, Liverpool's defence and its attack, amazing at home. Manchester City's attack and defence are amazing away. So what's going to happen? Something's got to give. It's either going to be the most exciting, thrilling 0-0 ever, or it's going to be 10-all. We just don't know, and that's tricky. But it's going to be a good test. Have a look at Liverpool game, see how Aguero does.
Yeah, sorry, I just muted you there because you're clicking something, and it's basically coming out quite sharply on the sound. So, are you back?
Is it?
Yeah, are you back now?
Yeah, is it working? I don't know what the clicking is.
Oh, right, okay. Well, okay.
Weird.
It keeps switching the camera to you, and also the click is going to be hard to edit out. So, yeah. Maybe sit still. I don't know what it is. Okay, I'll obviously edit that bit out. Yeah, I mean,
I was just going to say, sorry, I've gone. Now it's all gone to pot.
Yeah, it has. Okay, let's back to it. Yeah, I mean, it's difficult, isn't it? I just think obviously the Newcastle West Brom games are the ones we want him for, and arguably we'd captain him for them games. But the other thing is obviously we've got Sterling anyway, and Sterling, he's taken a share of his points, and if Sanchez comes in as well, which is looking increasingly likely, then obviously Sanchez will take a share of his points too. And so is Aguero the big explosive striker he used to be? I mean, we've mentioned the fact he's only got 3 double-figure hauls this season. That's not comparative to Salah and Kane, who have got 7 and 9. So I don't know if we're talking about the same player as well. I mean, that's the thing. This idea of Aguero of previous seasons, is that what we've got now?
I mean, I've no doubt he's good. He's a good player. It's just not in depth. But the thing is also the other thing is who are you taking out as well? So for me, I would be replacing Firmino. Now Firmino's off to Swansea, who are awful. So do I want to be taking out a good player for another good player? I don't know about that. Whereas there's people like in my situation, we're going to talk about Alonso later. Now, I don't have Alonso. So for me, I can't really justify getting Alonso and Aguero with the team I've got. So I've got it's basically a choice, really. I have to think about it like that. And I think a lot of people in that kind of situation, it might not be Alonso, but it might be if I'm getting Aguero, who am I ditching? So, for example, Mark, you've got Morata. Now, if Morata continues being as awful as he has been, that's a really easy move. You're going to be happy to do that move. But will Firmino owners be as happy doing that when he's travelling off to Swansea?
Well, I don't know. Morata's got better fixtures than Firmino. I mean, I'm worried about getting rid of Morata because he's not a rubbish player. He's had a couple of bad games, and lo and behold, like we've seen from Hazard, he's got 1 assist in 5. I look at Morata and I'm worried about getting rid of a player like that. And this is what happens when you get players in big teams like Firmino, Morata. You know that they can hurt you if you get rid. So it's difficult to make that move. I'd have to be driven to Aguero and I'd have to want to captain him for Newcastle and West Brom, I think, over Kane. And I don't know. There's so many variables. I mean, let's see what Kane does. That Kane's at Southampton game week 24.
As we saw Kane when ages ago, people might remember we did a thing about the latest Kane theory back then was the possession theory, and it ended up being true, particularly at Wembley. All of those teams that were quite happy to give up possession and kind of soak up pressure, as West Ham did so spectacularly. That great image of about 20 West Ham players all surrounding Harry Kane. But the only team that wanted to keep possession that was coming up to Wembley was Southampton at that stage. And lo and behold, that's a game where Kane prospers. So I look at that Southampton. I mean, I definitely, at the moment, looking to captain Kane for that Southampton game, which once again is another factor. Do we want to get Aguero? And yeah, lots up in the air. But yeah, Kane against Southampton on current evidence, that looks.
Yeah, I mean, this is it. You get Aguero in, and if you got Aguero in for 24, you'd be driven to captain him, and then that could be a disaster if Kane delivers and Aguero gets a goal or no more than that. And so, difficult one. And I think at the moment, all 5 of us are reserving judgment at least until 24 on Aguero. We're not as keen as we would be last season, that's for sure. Sanchez, just briefly, if he went to City, it'd be a no for me. I don't think I'd look at him again. It's surgery, isn't it?
Well, it would be a look at him. I wouldn't rule him out because we know how good a player he is and how good Man City are attacking if he's going to be getting a share of those points. But he's a midfielder and he's competing with De Bruyne or those that don't have Sterling to compete with Sterling. So,
any takers for Sanchez?
I'd be much more tempted than it depends obviously how he comes in. Like, is the chance that he comes in and completely gets rid of Aguero from the team? That seems unlikely. But if he gets a good few starts up front, I'd be seriously tempted in that team. I think he did so well when he played up front for Arsenal. It was when he got moved position that his points kind of started drying up a little bit. So for me, if he plays up front for this Man City team, I'd be seriously tempted. And I think because there's so much value in midfield, and that's where we're trying to put all our money, I don't think the surgery is probably as bad in the long run. So I'd be tempted, but I don't see Aguero sitting out every game.
Yeah, I mean, I think he could play up front because he's a workhorse, and we know Guardiola doesn't even like playing strikers. He likes playing midfielders, only midfielders. That is why we had doubts about Aguero in Pep's team in the first place. So it could be that Sanchez comes in as first choice. Yeah, it's not out of the question. So could be very interesting. But again, we're going to reserve judgment on that. Okay, let's talk about Lingard then, Jonty.
Well, yeah. So the rumour was, are there any of the scouts going to put the captaincy on Lingard this week? He said weekend. They're playing on Monday. So you never would have thought of doing that, captaining Lingard. But it actually doesn't sound as preposterous as all that, considering his form. Zuma's bloomers, is it worth bringing in Lingard? And Athalo, Lingard's got a great next fixture, Stoke at home, followed by 2 tricky ones, though, Burnley and Spurs away. Is it worth waiting to bring him in when there are other similar priced assets, for example, Arnautovic and Richarlison, who have got a good run of games over those same period? Well, yeah, I mean, just a bit of, I mean, Jesse Lingard is going up to, I think, almost or maybe exceeded 300,000 transfers in this week alone. So he's obviously the top transfer target, and why not? He's 6.3, and he's got absolutely amazing track record recently. So he's been involved. Game week 14 was when he came in, and he's been involved in more than half, the 53% of Manchester United's goals since then. 7 goals, assisted 2 more, and he scored against Derby as well in the FA Cup. And I just had a little thing just comparing him with others in terms of shots and shots on target over that period. So since game week 14, he's joint second with Salah. So he's good. So he's, and only Kane has more shots than him. So shots on target, he's second again. terms of big chances, well, Salah, Kane, Morata, Lacazette and Aguero have had more, but they're 4.4 to 5 million more expensive. So and he's still up there with them. And chances created, well, he's nowhere to be seen. So he's been a really selfish sausage there, and he's playing as a bit of a striker, really, almost, for Manchester United. So he's just simply not interested in assisting at all. Although he has got a couple, but that's not his thing at the moment. So there's a few little.
Let's go to Az, because he got him in this week. Got him in for Coutinho. Did you even have to think about it?
I did. My plan was to avoid him and to get Pogba, because I thought he's maybe more secure of an option, and I think he's a better player in general. You know, you think of Pogba compared to Lingard at the start of the season, and there'd be no comparison between the two. But the more I thought about it, is a 1.7 mil difference when I got Lingard in, and actually Pogba's 2 attacking returns lately have just been those 2 kind of sideway passes that he gave to Lingard, who then went on and scored wonder goals. So I couldn't really make a case for it, and I thought in the end, I didn't want this to become like a kind of a Mahrez situation, or a situation where you let a player just get away from you all season before you realise how good a value they were. So yeah, it was quite a simple option, and I think that the 6 million midfielders are starting to become a bit few and far between now. Gross has kind of gone off the boil a bit. So is Richarlison. Choupo-Moting, we're not sure how he's going to do with the new manager coming in. So I think for 6 million, Lingard is just by far the best.
Yeah, I mean, and Andy, the other factor is it's the Man United thing, isn't it? In that we know that a lot of FPL managers, Man United fans, as soon as a Man United player does well, they shoot up, and that's what's happened with the transfers in. I mean, you got to look at him as well, haven't you?
Yeah, for sure. And I think, like Johnny said a few times this season, it should be points ahead of pounds. But if he does well against Stoke again, that price is only going to go up even more. And Burnley, I would never like to back an attacker against Burnley away and Spurs away. But after that, it's Huddersfield at home. So I think if you've got a transfer you're looking to make this week with Stoke at home, I just think it's the one to make. And like Granville said, we were all wrong about thinking he wasn't nailed on. He's almost got no competition, I would say, right now for that number 10 spot, because he's not playing. He's barely pushed Pogba forward all season, so he's not going to play there. Mkhitaryan is completely out of favour. Mata could play there, but he generally gets played on the right. So unless he brings someone in, there's almost no one to take his place. And he does a bit of a different job to what Mkhitaryan used to do, which was get to the edge of the box and look for the pass. He gets into the box, which is the big difference. So he's making those runs. So he looks a no-brainer to me. I think for that cheap, getting that many goals in the Man United team with, okay, Burnley and Spurs, but it's Huddersfield after that, I think, at home. So, yeah, he's like I say, no-brainer for me.
And Granville, poster boy of your wildcard, surely.
It's interesting that everybody's teams are migrating to my wildcard team. Regarding Lingard, yeah, I mean, the boy's done fantastic, and actually he was benched, wasn't he? Okay, which game was it when he was benched and he had to come on and scored?
He got 2 goals,
yeah. So that just shows it his undoubted worth. Regarding Pogba, actually, I think you did him a bit of a disservice, because in that game he was in the box numerous times against Everton. So it wasn't just the sideways passes where he got a couple of assists. He was threatening, and I'm even considering the double up, Pogba, changing Arnautovic to Pogba. I might wait and see though, because I do want to be assured that that Mourinho isn't going to push him back again. Against Stoke, you imagine
one of them, Granville?
I'm considering it. Yeah, I'm considering this. Yeah, against Stoke, and particularly with it being the final game, I think it's always nice to have that in reserve. It's a bit nervy though if say Kane scored a hat trick on the Saturday or Sunday when he plays, but having the captain on the Monday night, it gives you something to look forward to on those dreary January Mondays. You know what I mean? Especially against Stoke, who got the worst defence in the league. My only worry about that, well, there's 2 worries about Stoke. Firstly, that they may, with Hughes gone, they may change things around. And secondly, United at home this season, a bit hit and miss. I mean, they've struggled. Particularly near last few times at Old Trafford to score goals. I mean, they against Southampton, they were just absolutely awful. So are we going to get one of those games again? Who knows? That's the risk, I guess, with captain someone like Lingard, where you'd be much better looking. There's not that many captaincy choices, I don't think, this week. I think with Liverpool playing City, you're taking a bit of a gamble to captain anyone in that game. And who else is there? There's Chelsea playing Leicester. I think this week of all weeks, I think this is a week when you can either captain maybe Alonso or one of the United players, Lingard. I think he's a good choice this week.
The only thing that puts me off Lingard is the type of goals he's been scoring have been pretty spectacular. You just think he can't keep that up, surely. Yeah? But if he was getting like tap-ins, I'd think about it. But I don't know.
But he has had quite a few of those tap-in chances which he's missed. Now, obviously, you'd say straight away that's not a good thing because he's not finishing them. But eventually, he's going to stick one of those away, as well as the kind of screamers that he's been scoring. And I think Fellaini's back now as well, which sounds weird, but that may help because, again, I think Pogba being able to get forward just helps Man United in general. And Fellaini, it might not be from the start, but the old horse analogy he kept saying at the start of the season, maybe that will help as well, where we can score a few more goals. So,
absolutely.
Captain, I don't know about, but we'll see.
Well, it looks like we've got the majority on Lingard. Going back to you, Jonty, I know you mentioned earlier on the comments board about this is like another Ramsey situation, and it is. As I said it, and it's like I didn't get on Ramsey, and I just thought can't maintain this. Ramsey's not a 15 goal a season midfielder, and people look at Lingard and will say exactly the same, but the stats and the performances all point to it.
They said it with Josh King as well. Josh King was another one. It's that Bournemouth guy, can't Norwegian bloke from Bournemouth. What's all this about? And this is it. And this is what's happening with Lingard. So for game week 14, he's been doing this. And there comes a point where we're in game week 22 now, and every week he's doing something like this. So there comes a point where I'm not of the school of thought that think it's going to suddenly come to an end. He is the real deal as a fantasy asset, and he's really cheap. I don't have him in my team. I'd like him in my team. And it goes back to the old thing about Aguero. If I get Lingard in, I've got to remove another player that I like. And that's the problem. So do I remove Eriksen, for example, with a couple of good fixtures? Do I remove Ali, for example? Each one of those moves would come with a risk. But if I had a player I didn't want, the move to Lingard would be the easiest move in the world because he is the real deal. He's the Ramsey, the Yaya Toure, the Mahrez.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised you're not doing it because I just think that he's going to go on.
Well, as I said, who would I remove? You see, that's the thing. I do want to do it, but I have to make that decision, which would go into Saturday morning probably. Getting Lingard is a no-brainer. Removing Ali for two great fixtures, Ali is in good form, fantasy form.
Yeah, it's just having three Spurs. That's the thing. Having three Spurs.
Yeah, a long term, I can't have three Spurs, but I did get them in because knowing they've got two good fixtures, so I knew I can sit on them. But yeah, do I want three Spurs? No. That's the decision I'll be coming to Friday, Saturday morning. I'll be looking at Eriksen, Ali, and Kane, and I'll be looking at Lingard. And this is the thing. Now, fantasy managers shouldn't do this. Shouldn't be looking at dates and times and matches and all these types of things. But I'll be going into that Monday match with no Manchester United coverage at all. So my game week ends on Sunday, and everyone else will be having Lingard. They'll be having a Manchester United defender. God, they get a clean sheet. And you haven't got a Manchester United defender, as I don't. Well, it's red arrow time. They are so heavily owned. So that's one thing. I'm actually more worried about Manchester United clean sheet than Lingard. But yeah, that's the thing. And I think ultimately when you're playing a game like this, it's the fun element to it as well. And it's that, how each game week, how do I want to maximize my fun level for that? And I don't think of going into that Manchester United game with my game week already over and everyone owning Manchester United assets. That is not fun.
No, it's rubbish. Watching the Monday, you don't want to watch the game because you know it's never going to be good news.
Yeah, Arnautovic is another one that could move. He is injured but rumoured to be back in training, and all tickety boo there. He's got great fixtures. Do I really want to move him either?
Well, you shouldn't have got rid of Pogba, Jonty.
I know.
12 points. You locked this out.
I completely trolled by him, though.
Pogba's trolled me, but I have no hard feelings about him. I'm quite happy to get Paul back in. But can he compare to Jesse at the moment?
The thing is as well, if you decide not to get Lingard, then it's almost like a psychological thing. As soon as the deadline passes, you'll look at the fixtures and think, okay, I'm not so bothered now. It's Burnley and Spurs, and I've got my Spurs midfielder against whoever it is, Southampton away. So it's just getting through. I in your position, I'm not sure I would get Lingard in.
Well, the other thing about the way I've been playing this game this season really boring. And there's been lots of times when I've ignored a bandwagon. I've tried to ignore the pressure from you lot. And mostly it's worked out because, as Andy says, but I do want it. But it's that Monday game. It's. I know we shouldn't think about it because you should think of the game week as a whole. But it's really not great when your game week ends and everyone else is almost just about to start. Especially if people are going to captain Lingard. My God.
Yeah, I think your restraint at the moment is extraordinary because we're going to get on to another player now who I know you want, and like who doesn't want him?
Yeah.
Marcus Alonso. Yeah. So let's talk about it.
Well, that's it. People talk about Lingard, but I'm looking at Alonso and thinking, oh my God, Lingard's nothing compared. Oh my God, he's just he is absolutely nothing compared to Alonso at the moment. So a manager has no name. Is Alonso essential? He also adds, do Christensen owners need to upgrade there? So I mean, lots of people ask about Alonso, but the manager has no name. Really nailed that there. So yeah, I'm looking into it. Yeah, Marcus Alonso, 7.3. People think, ooh, lots for a defender. Well, over the last 6 league starts, he's got 8.8 points average a game. Well, that's 3 goals and assists, 4 clean sheets, 6 bonus points. That's a lot. He's the full package there of player. He's getting everything. And he's second only to Morata, who's getting shots. He's just rubbish with them, but he's nevertheless getting shots. But he's second only to Morata amongst Chelsea assets for shots this season. Yes, I want him.
I mean, I'm going to go to Az because Az was his cheerleader early in the season, and then he got rid of him. I think he was crying in his pillow for about 6 game weeks, but you've got him back now, have you, Az, I guess?
That's right, yeah. And I've got Cantona and Knockout up there, but I need to find a space in this room for Alonso somewhere because he is my dream. He is just the dreamboat of FPL for me. Wing back, plays like a striker. I mean, his goal against Arsenal.
Yeah.
The goal went in, and I just sat watching it. I was like, oh, that's a goal from Morata.
Yeah.
And then Alonso runs off. I was like, what is going on? And I think that just sums him up. He's a striker who is classed as defender. And he's scoring headers now, scoring tap-ins like that. I
don't think I've ever seen I mean, look, Chelsea have got a good side to have a luxury like that. I mean, he just strolls about the pitch. He picks his own part of the field to play in. And then he goes into it's no wonder he scores so many goals because no one can mark him because they don't know where he is.
He's a defender with a free roll. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, he can nip off, have a cup of tea, come back in, and then just like head the ball into the net and say, what did I miss, lads? Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it is ridiculous. You watch Chelsea, but the thing is, it was happening earlier in the season and it wasn't turning into points. And then Jay obviously made the move to get Alonso. I think Alonso was one of the driving factors behind the hit because he wanted to get him in behind the 12-point hit, and it's worked for him. And at the same time, I was looking at the data as well and going, there's something in this, but I was worried. I had Christensen already, and I was thinking, well, that's Chelsea cover. I need to see a bit more from Alonso before I'm convinced. And then a game later, I just watched it and thought, I think it was the Everton game away from home. And again, it's a match where I thought, well, this isn't a match where Alonso should be getting forward and should be having shots. Away at Goodison Park, this is a match where your left wing back probably plays more defensively on the back foot. And he wasn't. He was again popping up more or less where Morata is. And I just thought, this isn't going to end. This is just going to, the only way this is going to end is in tears if I don't get him. So I took a hit and got him in, and it was a great decision. And now he's not going anywhere, is he? Unless we see massive regression, he's going to be in. I imagine he's going to be in a lot of teams by the end of the season.
That's fixtures as well. There's clean sheets there on top of any attacking returns he gets.
Yeah. And since game week 11, since Kante came back, they've been the best defence statistically in terms of clean sheets, shots allowed, goals conceded. Chelsea are the best defence since game week 11. And then you add that to what Alonso brings in the attacking third. He's an astonishing player and an absolute gift. I've got him with Christensen because I just look at the fixtures and think, well, doubling up on Chelsea in this run is a good idea, I think. I don't know whether Christensen are playing every game now because Lewis, so we'll see if that's an easy change for you to make now. But I had to do it. I took a hit to get him in because I just thought, I panicked. I started thinking another goal and he's going to go up in price again. And he is, and he's going up and up and up. And yeah, I mean, what are you going to do, John? I presume he's going to be a transfer this week then, is he?
No, because because I would have to get him in for a hit,
right,
as well. So yeah, is he worth a hit? Yeah, of course he is. But it's not an immediate thing of getting him in. If I had the spare change and an equivalent, heavy hitting premium defender I wanted to get rid of, yeah, of course I would get him in. But I mean, one thing I could do, and we should come back to Lingard as well, and this is something others might think about as well, is one of Eriksen and Ali, probably Eriksen, to go for Lingard actually as an enabler for Alonso. So that would kill two birds with one stone and replace Kenny, because I don't think Kenny's times, is going to be much for us really. And also Everton's clean sheets have dried up really. I just think they're kind of regressing to what they are really. And yeah, I mean, I think about that and I think Alonso, but just thinking about Lingard there in a different light, I'm thinking about him as a really good enabler for Alonso. So Alonso's the one I'm thinking of really. So that's another decision that I will have to make. But the reason I mention that as well is because I think a lot of people like me, they've stocked up on Spurs assets, particularly Eriksen or Ali or Son, and they're thinking, well, I can cash them in for someone like Lingard, and then that frees up some money. So what do I do with that money? Maybe they're starting to think about players like Alonso or Manchester United defender. That would be a good move as well.
So Andy, you got him as well now, Alonso?
Yeah, I bought him in for a hit.
Yeah.
I'm basically looking at like people like Az who were just, over the course of 4 game weeks did much better than me. But every week it was like 10 or so points here or there, and he just started punishing me. And same as you, I watched him in that Everton game. I was checking then. I actually tweeted out that he's a wing back on paper, but he just kept popping up as a number 9, which was just ridiculous. And I wanted him at some point, and I happened to have the right cash, so I just got him in. And the thing I like about him is it's never over with him. Like against Arsenal, once that clean sheet went, usually, if you had Christensen or whichever defenders were playing there, Azpilicueta, that's your game over. But with him, I just thought, well, he could score, so there's nothing to worry about here. And so 7.3 million is a lot of money, but just with his ownership now is creeping up. He's obviously got this attacking form that he's in right now. I think it's all, I wouldn't say a no-brainer. I wouldn't tag him with essential, but he's a very, very good option right now. And I'm glad I've got him on my team basically because he can't punish me anymore.
It's just fun as well, isn't it? Just fun owning, which is what I like about it.
Like I say, when do you have a defender that pops up in the number 9 position so often? It's just like Granville said, ridiculous where he is.
So Johnson, you're turning down the fun of Lingard on a Monday night and the fun of Alonso forever.
Well, no, I'm not.
Is incredible.
That's a no-brainer now. -4.
I know it's the Alonso thing, really. That I can be restrained about Lingard. That would be really, but Alonso, you do get players like this every now and again. Remember when Baines was, in his pomp, and he was getting those penalties all those time, and those free kicks, and he was racking up those scores. It just seemed, we're like with Ramsey or Torre. It's just ridiculous not getting them. Alonso is a special player because he's a defender that thinks he's a striker. And I've read out those stats there. Every single one: bonus, assists, goal, clean sheet.
You're going to get him. You're going to get him.
Well, I'm shocked.
It's only a matter of time before I get Alonso in. There's no way it'll either be this week or the following week. There's no way I can stomach more than another game.
There's another good thing about him actually. He doesn't get taken off, unlike a number 9. Like Morata, I reckon if you look at, I haven't looked at Morata's minutes, but I'm sure he's been dragged off a few times.
Alonso did get taken
a couple of times. He has been
a couple of times, and he does get. So what you've got to hope
look at it now.
Get taken off at
59 minutes.
Off at 54 minutes against West Ham and 67 against Watford.
Yeah, he was booked in both games, I think. So if he gets booked, he takes him off.
Okay, well, you're stuffed then anyway if you get booked. But I remember that actually because I had him in the booking. I think it was against Stoke.
Stoke.
I had him because I had him for the when he got his 16-pointer. I had him at the beginning of the season, like as, and sold him halfway through the about game week 7 or 8. But he generally does play the 90 minutes, so that's important. So if you did captain him, and Chelsea did concede, then you still got a chance of getting a goal.
And he takes free kicks.
It's not over, is it?
And he takes free kicks. As I said, he takes free kicks. And he doesn't just take free kicks that are rubbish. He takes really good.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, this is just a love-in for Alonso.
This is a big love-in.
I just had a look. If he was on, I had a look at the forwards goal attempts. If he was with the forwards, he'd be 9th for goal attempts out of all forwards for the whole season. Which is crazy.
Yeah,
No reason.
but we really have got to stop there because we're just getting too doughy-eyed. And
Is there no love anymore for Hazard? Is that it?
I think I'll give you my take on Hazard. Is because I see there's value in midfield. That's why I got rid of Hazard. I had no doubt getting rid of Hazard and keeping Morata because I thought I've got no options up front. There's no value up front at the moment that I can find. Whereas in midfield, I thought I can get Lingard in for Hazard. I know I'm going to get an Arnautovic in, and I know I'm going to get Son in for double game week. So my midfield, I kind of had planned. I could see, like an Arnautovic at 6'9", Lingard at 6'1" at the time. There was options. Whereas I looked at Morata and thought, well, if I get him out and keep Hazard, who am I going to get in for Morata and get enough money for the double game week? I couldn't do it. So the only way to do
for Firmino.
No, but that wouldn't give me enough money to get Son and an Arnautovic.
Oh, right.
So I knew I had to free up enough money to do it.
Money for that.
Sorry?
I was wondering, when your decision to get Morata in, why didn't you get Firmino in instead of Morata?
At the time, because I wanted Chelsea cover. I wanted to have Chelsea cover for the.
You had Alonso and Christensen.
Yeah, I didn't have Alonso at the time. I thought that Morata, they had good fixtures. They had Stoke at home, and of course he got suspended for that, didn't he? So it was just a suspension derailed me. And then at the point of getting rid of, I was always going to get rid of one of Hazard and Morata. And I looked at it and thought, well, I can't, there's no strikers. Who do I get in now and then have enough money? So Hazard for me is a better player than Morata, of course, and a better fancy asset. But I don't know if he, in the current landscape where we've got likes of Lingard and Arnautovic, and I still think Richarlison could do all right. I still think he's there and thereabouts and could offer value. And the thing is, there's a chance that somebody else will come forward as well. I think I wrote this in the preamble that every 3 or 4 weeks, a midfielder comes forward who's worth about 6 million, 7 million. Could be Ramsey next, couldn't it? He could be fit. He could start doing what he did before the injury, and suddenly there's another value option. Whereas in up front, we haven't had anything else. We've had Charlie Austin for a brief period who looked like he was going to give us value. That's it. I can't think of another striker this season who's done that.
I mean, I was going to say that brings us on to the next set of questions, which is lots of people exactly saying that same thing. Where have all our third strikers gone? And so Berlin Boy said, who is the best third striker? Well, there isn't one, perhaps. Golasaurus. What are the potential January transfers that we're keeping eye on? And over mid-wicket, is it too soon for Tosun? And is he the answer to a third striker? That's Cenk Tosun, the new Everton striker. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people who are asking that. And it's the same position. They want to find that value there. And so I had a look at the last 4 game weeks. And there's one name that really pops out. It's Callum Wilson again. So Defoe's injured. And Callum Wilson's up there with 14 attempts over the last 4. He scored a couple of goals. 11 shots inside the box, 7 on target. These are good stats. And he's only 5.7. I'd be thinking about him if I was out of the current batch of third strikers. Is it too soon for Tosun? Well, I think it is at the moment. We need to have a look at him because we've come a cropper before with new players coming in.
Is there any argument for Jordan Ayew? Because he's the one that I was looking at is the only other enabler.
Well, that's it. I mean, 5 million. He's going to play. Swansea are awful. Bournemouth appear to be a better attacking unit than Swansea. But no, I actually think Jordan Ayew is, if you're looking for an enabler, but you get what you pay for, he's 5 million. Don't get him in thinking he's suddenly going to be like Jamie Vardy or Harry Kane when they were 5.5. But if someone to be on the bench who's going to do a job as that first sub and can come in, and he might nick a goal or get an assist, then yeah, I think he's reasonable for his price.
But it comes down to formation. I mean, I'm playing 3-5-2 or 4-5-1. I'm not. So I've got Colin Quaner, who's never going to be a factor. Hopefully, he's my third sub. And
you got Calvert-Lewin as well.
No, I haven't.
Oh, right.
I've got Morata.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you've got Morata in. Yeah.
So I mean, I'm not going to play my third striker. So, but when I look at third strikers, I looked at it and thought, I'm just going to go Quaner, someone who is playing, like a Loftus-Cheek, who is playing, who might get the odd assist, and he has done, and that's it. But if you start going to Callum Wilson, you're then going, well, I'm going to play 3 up front. And then who's your 5th midfielder? Well, your 5th midfielder, you're going back to Loftus-Cheek. But the trouble is Wilson going to be better value than someone like Lingard and Arnautovic or Richarlison? He could be. He's on penalties, but again, it's fitness for him. I don't know if he can chain. He's done well over Christmas. He's played starts over Christmas, but there's always that concern with him about the fitness, whether he can continually chain matches together. And I just think the midfield value is better. Andy, what's your views on third strikers?
Exactly the same to us. I think the time to get Wilson was probably when everyone was getting Depoitre in. Obviously, because he did so well over Christmas, and now the fixtures are kind of drying up a bit. It's Arsenal at home, Chelsea away in the next 3, and like you said, it means a formation switch to 3-4-3, unless you're going to go for Tosun, who I don't know. Everyone seems to be raving about him. They seem to think he's going to do well. He's a decent player from the sounds of it. I mean, I'll be honest, I've never heard of him until he arrived at Everton. I just think it's too risky because there's too many good players in midfield. So I've basically got Calvert-Lewin, and I've got it in my head that hopefully, because obviously we're gone past the Christmas period now, and there's more time between games for the most part. Obviously, the top 6 and stuff are playing in Europe. That I've got Calvert-Lewin, and I can probably hold him for a little bit because I'm hopefully not going to have to use him too much. So he's my kind of 8th attacker. Yes, I'd prefer Quainer to free up some money, but that's not a transfer I'm in a rush to make. So for me, I think I can't look past 3-5-2 right now, unless Tosun comes and scores a hat-trick on his debut, and then maybe I'll rethink. But like you say, Mark, there's just too much value in midfield, and I don't see any good reason to switch right now.
And as what you're feeling about it?
Well, I've got Depoitre and Calvert-Lewin, and I need to do something about it because I'm not happy with those two. So for me, it's either get Aguero somehow, or I switch to a 4-5-1, and I literally just get Quainer, and I probably keep Depoitre, don't play them. I get a Man U defender, a Man City defender, Alonso, and maybe Van Dijk, and then you've got 4 defenders there who are all around 6 million or just a bit under, who are probably going to score as many points as the strikers. And then you can flood the midfield with De Bruyne. You can get maybe Hazard as well. Get Lingard as a cheap option. You can get an amazingly powerful midfield if you go 4 at the back. So that's what I'm thinking of doing.
I really like that option because I've got 3. I've got Alonso, Jones, and Otamendi right now. But like you said, there's Van Dijk now. I think looks like a nice option. I'd even, because I've only got Sterling, if I don't get Aguero, I'd even maybe double up on Man City defence with Stones and Otamendi. Christensen and Alonso. I think 4-5-1. I'd be interested to see how that goes.
I mean, I think basically we should all be flexible, and because we've been at this point before this time of the season, and then remember when Cisse joined Newcastle, had to get him in, and suddenly everyone was moving perhaps from 5-man midfield to thinking, well, I think I'm actually going to go three viable strikers up front. And we have to look at things like, say, for example, Danny Ings moves and gets fires at wherever new club he goes to. Because bear in mind, back in 2014-15, he scored 11 goals, got 4 assists then. So, we need to be flexible there. And, as we're raving about Lingard now, but in a couple of weeks we could be raving about a new striker coming in who's about 6 million playing for someone. Or, so that's why I just think we need to be quite flexible. And I've often found if you're going to go heavier at the back, that is where the inflexibility comes, because you're spreading that money around. Whereas if you say for example, those like me, got a couple of Spurs midfielders, I can get pretty much anyone within 2 moves. Say for those that have got maybe Sanchez, they want to get rid of Sanchez, for example. Once again, they've got that as well. So that's why I think I think people just need to keep a bit of an open mind and be flexible, and don't rule out that the template, which we're all talking about now as being 3-5-2, could actually become 3-4-3 again.
Yeah, I mean, Tosun as well, he could do it. I mean, the record is good. Lots of good press about him. My main concern about that is Everton under Allardyce have been bottom for shots on target, bottom for big chances. They're not an attacking team. You're not going to throw a striker in and suddenly they're up there, 7th, 8th in the shot count. It's not going to happen overnight. Allardyce is not an attacking manager. And so he might have got him a striker who converts chances, but are they going to create the chances for him?
Well, also, a lot of his goals have benefited from penalties. So he's had 28 goals last 18 months. You look at that and go, wow. So, you think, that's Turkish league, so expect some regression there. He's playing for Big Sam. Expect a bit more regression. And then take away 9. That's a lot of regression in terms of his goal scoring prospects. That's why, personally, for me, I'd like to give him 2 games. But I would love it if he does well, because the game is absolutely crying out for these players. I mentioned Cisse before. When he came in, it was great. And before we've had players like, say, Vardy, for example, and to get the game. I mean, the FPL are priced accurately. It's annoyingly accurately. There just simply hasn't been any good strikers in that position. You have to spend a lot, or just get Dross in.
Okay, let's talk. Go on. Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, Mark, I just wanted to mention something because I wish you'd stop talking about Cisse, because that was really, really painful for me that season. I don't know if you remember, Mark, when we were having our kind of big rivalry, I had Demba Ba for most of that first half of the season, and he was like scoring braces every week. Cisse comes in, you get him on the January transfer window. I don't know why he got him. I was questioning at the time, and then he just doesn't stop scoring, and Demba Ba doesn't score a goal again. I don't think he scored a goal till about April.
Yeah, he had a really dry run. I remember that.
It was really.
You held him for all that time as well.
Yeah, I did. It was bad. It was bad mistake.
No, January can change it. I remember Jelic arrived and he did well. And there's stories of it in the past where someone's come in and changed the FPL landscape completely, and we need it to be a striker this time. But equally, it could be another bargain midfielder, and then it keeps us at 3-5-2 or 4-5-1. We'll have to see. I think it's too early to jump on Tosin. I know he's doing well in the captain poll. I mean, it's ridiculous, to be honest, because we don't know much about him. How he's gonna. We only know what we've seen, or what we've seen in his league abroad. And so, what's he going to do in the Premier League? And if he was coming into an attacking team, I'd be more encouraged by it. But it's going to take time. They've got good creators, Rooney with Sigurdsson, of course, so he should get chances. But the stats say he might struggle. Talking of creative players, Coutinho gone. So what do we do? Mark Highbrow, Barracuda, Jigger and Pony, all questions on this.
Yeah.
It affects us all, doesn't it? Because of
Salah. Mark Highbrow, how will Liverpool shape up without Coutinho? Does this actually take the gloss off Salah and Firmino? That's a key question people are asking. Barracuda, is Salah still essential, or will his form dip? Coutinho leaving, and what about Mane, says Jigger and Pony. So I don't look into it. I'm personally not worried about Firmino and Salah in terms of Coutinho leaving. There may be other factors that cause them to regress, but I don't think Coutinho will be the one. So there's 7 games Coutinho didn't play. Salah got 66 points over those games. That's 9.4 per match. And over the season, he's averaging around 8 points a match. So no, Salah's still brilliant. In fact, arguably better. Firmino, he's averaging 5.71 points a match in Coutinho's absence. A bit cheaper as well. So no, not worried about him either. So that's just over his points per match average of 5.2. So once again, not a problem. And out of those matches, people go, oh, were they all easy? Well, there were some easy ones there, but they also played Arsenal City over that time. And 3 out of those 4 were away. Basically, don't worry about it. If Firmino and Salah form drops, it'll be for something else. It won't be because Coutinho's leaving.
I'm not worried about Salah. I mean, we've done an article on this and it's coming out tomorrow. And there is some underlying stats that Firmino does drop. His points and goals don't drop considerably.
But his points haven't dropped. He's got, in fact, his points are up.
No, I mean, but the issue more is that presumably he's not happy about Coutinho leaving. So there's things off the pitch that we don't know. He's lost Coutinho, who was, we presume, that's going to be a blow to him. So that's it. But it's like you don't know how it's going to affect them morale-wise either. City game's a big one, isn't it? Because if they play well in that game, they're just probably going to just bounce on as if nothing's happened. If they get routed, it'll be more of a concern. But Salah, I'm not worried about at all, because I just think the goals that Salah gets as well, he can get all kinds of goals. He scores tap-ins, he scores 25-yarders. He's not reliant necessarily on Liverpool playing brilliantly. So I think he can score even when Liverpool are average. Firmino, don't know. It depends who comes in to take that role of Coutinho, I guess, and how well they play. I think Firmino is a bit more reliant on Liverpool.
Will Oxlade-Chamberlain not play?
It'd be Lallana. It'd be Lallana and Oxlade. So I think for people playing, perhaps not FPL, but perhaps some other games, perhaps draft games, for example, I think this is the time to get an Oxlade-Chamberlain or Lallana in, because I think they're the ones that are going to benefit, because they're going to get more minutes and they're going to get more of an attacking role. And I wouldn't be surprised if they don't actually replace Coutinho at all. They've already spent a big chunk of money on Virgil van Dijk. And I'm not sure. I think one of the reasons they didn't want to sell him before was because they were a bit unsure about Salah. Also, I think that I don't know if Lallana was injured then, but he's certainly got options there. He's not, and also people are going to take him for a ride as well. Liverpool, like they did before, like they sold. Remember when they sold Torres for 50 million? Like every shark under the sun was coming.
What, you're trying to say that Andy Carroll wasn't worth?
And someone said, "Oh yeah, like this coat up like a 1940s, like kind of like I've got like special kind of contraband here. I've got an Andy Carroll with 50 million.
You're talking about Walker in Dad's Army, aren't you? Yeah. That's basically what you're looking for.
Yeah. So what is it? 35 million they bought Andy Carroll for.
You've got a nice pair of nylon stockings with that.
Absolutely. And a pair of nylon stockings and a banana. So that's brilliant.
Yeah. Andy, what's your feelings on Coutinho departure? I mean, are you worried about Salah? Would you be worried about Firmino?
No, basically. I think I looked at the same thing as John T. They've done well without him. Like you say, it's a bit different with him not in the team, knowing that he's still at the club to now he's left the club, what will morale be like? But I don't think... arguably, you could say Salah's the best player at Liverpool. Most people would probably say Coutinho. He's now gone. So what's morale like? But I don't think he's as important as he once was. And I think if you've kept Salah through the injury, then it's a no-brainer. You just keep him if he's back. If you got rid of him, the one player that I think now comes into contention more is Mane, because he's had a bit of an odd season. He did really well at the start, and obviously got sent off against Man City. But he could be the one to throw now that he's going to be back in the team. You imagine he's going to play week in, week out now for the most part. And if you got rid of Salah, he's still 10.1 million. He hasn't dropped in price, whereas Mane, I think, is 9.3. So he's one I'd be looking at. Now, to go without Salah, I think, is still risky. I know he's got Man City and Spurs at home, but he's just done absolutely nothing to warrant being removed, I don't think. So Mane would be the one I'd look at, but worried about Salah, Firmino, not for now. I think Liverpool and Klopp's style is just to attack. I don't think that's going to change. And I think, yes, Coutinho is a miss, but with that front three, there's still goals there for me.
And Az, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, so I had to make the decision who to get rid of when I got rid of Coutinho, who to bring in. I was looking at Lallana because I think he's just such a class player, and I think the exciting part of Coutinho's move, I think, is what happens with him, because if he can regain some of the form that he showed last year, was he about 7 million, 7.5 million?
7.3, I think he is.
7.3. If he can sort of cement a place down in that team and play alongside Mane and Firmino, he's going to get points. So I think and there isn't that many options around 7 million, so he could potentially be a really good pick. It'd also be exciting to see who they buy. If they do go for Mahrez, he keeps getting linked with them, and I wonder where he would fit into that front line if he did play, and he could be quite exciting if he goes.
Okay, and Granville, any views on it? I mean, do you think you're fine with Salah, are you?
Yeah. Is that a serious question, though?
Well, a lot of people have been selling him. I mean,
yeah, but they've been selling him because he was injured and they needed the players for the short game week. I think that was the only reason people were selling him. I mean, I sold Kane and then going back straight away. It was just because I knew that he wasn't playing. So I think that's the reason why people sold him. Surely they're going to get him back. He's the top scorer in the game. It looks like he's going to score points every single week. I don't think, and he's scored a lot of those. You remember Coutinho wasn't playing the first half of the season or the first 10 games.
First four games, yeah.
First 4 games. Yeah, and then he was in and out, wasn't he? Because he was rested quite a lot, I think. And he hasn't played a full season, and Salah's been there all that time, and he's scoring every week. So I don't think it's affected from what I've seen. It hasn't affected his points out
also
to make a big difference.
It's the same with Firmino as well. That's when Firmino was firing at the beginning. Coutinho came in. Firmino started his slide. It was almost coincidentally the same time.
I think the other factor no one's touched on as well is Salah takes set pieces. Firmino could take penalties. Coutinho not being there might be a good thing in that respect as well. Don't know how that's going to be divvied up. Who's going to take all these set pieces? Now, Salah's been taking corners anyway, but not all of them. Will he start taking all the free kicks, and will Firmino be back on pens? Don't really know what's going to happen with pens there, do we? Well, maybe Milner. But there's a lot of variables. I think the City game is going to be so interesting. John T mentioned it earlier. For so many reasons, we're going to be looking at Liverpool and we're going to be looking at Aguero. So much to assess in that match. We're probably not even going to notice the result. We'll be too busy looking at those assets and how they're going to perform. Let's talk briefly then about the blanks before we get on to the weekend preview. John, do you want to explain this? I mean, it started already, isn't it? We'd love a bit of this, love a bit of planning, even though it's very, very premature, I would say.
It is a bit. So Patio Kev asks, with only 5 free transfers between now and Game Week 28, should we start to ration our Man City, Man United and Chelsea assets? The reason he is saying that is because in Game Week 28 is when the League Cup final takes place. Arsenal play Man City that week, and Manchester United play Chelsea that week. So basically, if Chelsea beat Arsenal, then the Man United Chelsea game. So if Chelsea beat Arsenal in their League Cup semi-final, sorry, I should say, that means that Man United Chelsea game is off. That is a blank. So you will not be able to play those players. In the other game, Arsenal against Man City, if Arsenal beat Chelsea, or if Man City beat Bristol City, which is the more likely issue there, then that game is off as well. So it's a very, very high chance that Arsenal Man City is definitely off Game Week 28, and Man United Chelsea will be off as well. So we need to be keeping an eye on that. And yeah, you're right, there's 5 free transfers. So if you've loaded up on those players, you need to be starting to think, well, am I going to use a free hit chip then, for example? Or do I need to be a bit careful? Perhaps maybe I should be looking at some heavy hitters or some good players from, say, Liverpool, for example, who will definitely play then as well. And so I've been having a look. There's a chap, Ben Crellin, lots in the fantasy community know of him. He is the kind of blank and double game week fixture guru. Basically, the way his mind works is the only mind that can actually fathom it all. And he kindly, for the people on Twitter, at Ben Crellin, lays it all out in nice colour-coded fixture season tickers, which is fantastic. So a couple of things. He also mentions Game Week 31 and Game Week 35 are looking like big blank game weeks. If you've got your free hit chip, try and save it for one of those two, perhaps. And then he also anticipates double game weeks 34 and 37, and there could be 1 or 2 small ones, he thinks, around that time as well. So these are things we need to be planning about, but it's careful with chips, because people are starting to use their wild cards now, or thinking about them, or perhaps using their free hit chips or triple captaincy and all of these types of things. There's lots going on the rest of the season. Starting Game Week 28, I'd probably save them for those times.
28 to worry, because we're looking at it thinking, I'm not going to get rid of Lingard, not going to get rid of Alonso, don't really want to get rid of Otamendi. So that's 3 players that I'd have to bench. I've got Morata at the moment. Well, he'll go after the fixtures are dead if he doesn't go before. So that one's all right. I need Arsenal.
Not even mention Sterling either.
No, and Sterling as well. We're not going to get rid of Sterling, are we? So I think we need Arsenal to beat Chelsea and for it to be one fixture down. But if they don't, then we've got a bit of trouble for Game Week 28. And Pat Yokev is right. We've got to start thinking about this with our transfers from this point on and planning. I'd probably be okay with 10 men. I'm not going to want to go in with 9. And I'm going to have to play Colin Quayle at the moment and things like that. So there's a lot to think about here.
See, this is when you were talking about third strikers. Why bother play Colin whatever his face is? Well, Game Week 28, you're not going to play Colin. Well, you could play Colin what's his face.
Well, the thing is,
we're all play like someone like Callum Wilson or someone like that.
But we're all in the same boat. I mean, a lot of people are going to have Alonso, Sterling. A lot of people are probably going to have Lingard by then as well. So, and Otamendi is the most owned defender. So I don't think we're all going to be on our own with this. So it's a question of what else have you got. You've got to have an active bench, I think, haven't you? That's the one thing.
Yeah.
You've got to have 3 subs by then who play, and Colin does play. It could be desperate times. But then even worse, 31 could be a disaster if we haven't got the free hit. So
the other thing, looking at Game 28, so I did take the mickey out Colin thingy, but he does play against West Brom as well. So it's not a bad time to turn to Colin. But the same at Bournemouth, for example, play Newcastle at home. It's a very nice fixture there as well. So it's actually quite a good week for your bench fodder as well. Crystal Palace have a terrible fixture then, but Watford at home to Everton as well. So those who've got your likes of John Joe Kenny. Well, that's if he's still going strong. Then this is not a bad time for them. So take heart.
Yeah, but the point is we've got to start planning, haven't we? Is this too much, Az? Is this blowing your mind already? Or where you are, you've got to plan for it. You can win this thing, surely.
Oh, don't say that. don't put that idea in my mind.
I said it.
Well, my thoughts would maybe a bit different to yours, because I think with the fixtures City have got leading up to that and the fixtures Chelsea have got, I'm actually looking at investing in them more and trying to get 3 City and 3 Chelsea, because I think if you have to take an 8-point hit to take them out, you might have made 30, 40 points on them from their fixture run. So I'm not looking that far. I think when there's like 2 or 3, 2 or 3 game weeks, then I'll start to think about it. But 5, I'm not too worried about it yet, and I'm just going to just play for the next 3. So I think Chelsea and Man City are the players on my radar at the moment.
Same for you, Andy? You were nodding there.
Yeah, pretty much. I think it'd be annoying, to be honest, if Chelsea win, because like you've got similar players, Man United defender and Lingard, so it's even worse, I think. It'll probably be in the back of my mind now to maybe not go tripling up all for any of those teams. But like I said, the fixtures are so good. Like I'd love another Chelsea defender if I don't get Hazard or Morata. But it is going to be a problem. But I've not taken many hits this season, so I'm more than happy to start doling in hits for the next few weeks. So I think, like you said, it looks like the free hit is potentially going to be better in game week 31. So I don't really want to use it. But if I'm in that much trouble, and the other problem is I've got a lot of money tied up in players like Sterling and Otamendi, so I don't want to be transferring them out and back in. So yeah, we'll see. I'm not worried about it too much, but it will be in the back of my mind from now on.
And Granville, De Gea, imagine all those people with De Gea and like a 3.9 keeper. If Man United don't play, there's no goalkeepers, is there? For those
yeah, it's a good point, because Speroni, well, it's like Speroni. He was playing, of course, but now he looks out of favour again, which could give me a problem. It probably means that I'm not going to, because I was thinking Pogba was a consideration, but now you say that, I don't think I'm going to take the risk, because I don't think United are going to play. I think Chelsea are going to go through.
Yeah,
that's going to be a blank. It's a Sunday. I'm checking now. It's a complete Sunday blight. It's a wipeout of that Sunday. Super Sunday, wasn't it?
What are we going to do on a Sunday? We'll have to
United
talk to our families and stuff. It's going to be. I'm going to end up in some garden centre. That's shocking.
I know. Gosh, I'll have to find out what to do in my life. Palace to Spurs. Maybe Spurs are the ones to get on. I don't know what. I'm not looking this far forward. I don't want to play a free hit on game week 28 when there's going to be game week 31, I think it is, where there's going to be complete wipeout. I don't think it's worth playing it. It's just those 4 teams missing.
See, look, I thought we'd convinced Jonty to go to Alonso and Lingard. Now he's probably thinking, what am I doing? No, I'm going to retract that straight away.
No, I definitely agree with what Az and Andy was saying. It's pointless looking at 5 game weeks time and saying, I'm not going to get these really good players in because they may or may not have a fixture in game week 28, and I'm just going to ignore them for 5 game weeks worth of huge points haul. So as we've seen with Alonso, that's 40 points I'll be missing out on. So I'm not so keen on that. But I mean, I'm not loaded up with them, so it's not like I'm already loaded up with players. So, I've got an Arsenal player, for example. I haven't got any of that. So I'm really, really low. I could actually do with a few of these players.
Yeah, I mean, Arsenal, thank God, haven't been any use to us at all season, so that's not a factor. But like you say, Granville, I think Chelsea are going to win, so it's going to be a problem. Okay, let's just look ahead to the next game week, because that's far easier, isn't it? Game week 23 is with us on Saturday, 3 o'clock kickoff. No early kickoff, which is strange. So we're going to do clean sheets first, and I'll come to you first, Andy. What are you going to go for?
Man United.
Simple as that. On the Monday,
I'll tell you what I think is probably the best one. I'm going to quick look there.
United are conceding shots, but who can score for Stoke? This is it. I mean, Burnley got 2 goals there, but I just don't see who can score for Stoke. So
yeah, we'll have to see who comes in and what the manager does. I think they want someone in by that game, don't they? So maybe, I don't know, they'll perform some miracle. I mean, Stoke have got really good fixtures after that game, so I would be tempted to jump back on Choupo-Moting or something like that. But I just think that looks like a clean sheet to me.
Yeah, fair enough. Sure. And as your clean sheet,
I think that Huddersfield-Burnley game could be a 0-0.
Huddersfield-West Ham, you mentioned.
Sorry, Huddersfield-West Ham could be a 0-0. Neither of them are scoring that many goals, and I mean, Huddersfield can't sort their strikers out. They play Portray one day and then Mooney the next, and neither of them can score. So I think either of those would be good. I'll go for Huddersfield because they're at home and they seem quite tight at home.
I think Mounier is going to play at the weekend, isn't he? Yeah, I mean, that's not a bad one either. And Granville, yours?
Oh, you let me have Spurs, are you?
At home to Everton?
Yeah, it's pretty obvious, isn't it?
Spurs at home to Everton. Yeah, I mean,
Everton. Yeah. Well, Everton, if they're not taking any shots, they're not really going to score, are they? The
tossing factor.
I don't know, but to me, it's an unknown because I don't really know the player. But that'll be my one. Spurs.
And John, to yours?
I think there's a couple of potential 0-0s here: Newcastle, Swansea, and West Brom, Brighton. There's, I'm going to go. I think Newcastle are going to keep a clean sheet there. I think there's potential for 2 really, really boring matches.
I think there's a lot of clean sheets because I'm going to go Brighton. I think Brighton will keep a clean sheet at West Brom. Been very impressed with Brighton recently, and West Brom having a lot of shots, but not. I don't know if they're not creating good quality chances, of course, and they're relying on Rodriguez and Rondon, which. No, I think Duncan Duffy will smother them. I'm going for Brighton. Fancy on a risk. I'll get mine in first because I know John's already picked his. He's picked the best one. I'm going to go McCarthy at Palace. I think he plays. When he plays, he always looks dangerous. Not an attacking player, I wouldn't have thought, but he does always crop up with goals. Good finisher. Palace for me will beat Burnley. I don't think Pope's going to keep a clean sheet there. I think it's going to be 1-0 Palace. Hodgson's just finding a way to get points, and I think he'll get 3 there. So I'm going McCarthy. My fancy on the risk. Andy.
So after your little mini speech there about Brighton, I'm going to go for back a West Brom player, and I'm going to go for J-Rod. I think I'm looking at. I'm sure the quality has not been great, but for goal attempts, only the top 6 apart from Arsenal, and I think it's Bournemouth have beaten them for goal attempts in like the last 4 and last 2 game weeks. So I'm going to go for them. Rodriguez stats look okay for a West Brom player.
Pens as well, maybe.
There you go. So I think. Yeah, definitely a risk. And I think Brighton, yes, they've been doing quite well. I've got Duffy on my bench most of Christmas, but I think West Brom can score there.
And as yours?
Well, I was going to go for Sacco because I watched the Brighton game last night and he looked quite sharp. But I'm thinking maybe get a cheeky Jenkin while he is a differential. And then,
Against Spurs, you think Everton can score there?
Well, it's a risk, isn't it?
It's a big risk.
Yeah, and he might not be a differential very long if he's getting everyone's team. So yeah, I think I'll have him.
Fair enough. And Granville.
I'm going to go for Jose Perez. He got a brace, didn't he, in the cup? So yeah, I think he's a confidence player. I think it's a hunch. I think he's got a chance.
Stoke, of course, as well. Good shout, I think this.
And also against a very dodgy team at Swansea, no confidence.
Yeah, and John T, the last to pick, and I know you got a good one.
Jordan Ibe. Now, eagle-eyed stats number crunching folk will notice that Jordan Ibe has in fact been one of the most prolific strikers of the ball recently. So he's had 17 goal attempts in the last 4. And 8 of those have been in the box as well, 6 on target. He's top of my goals imminent table, and he plays Arsenal, so it's like a double fancy island risk there because Arsenal's meant to be tough. But this fixture last season was 3-3. I think there's going to be goals in it. Jordan Ibe is all over their set pieces. I don't know how it suddenly happened with Jordan Ibe, but he's just suddenly everywhere all over Bournemouth.
I know. I tell you what, he's second for chances created as well. Yeah. Not only is he top for shots with Kane, only Gross has created more chances in the last 4 game weeks.
And he's 4.8 now. A lot of people, some people have been asking about. I've got Magic Bean himself, Loftus-Cheek, looking to replace him with a similar player. Well, there you go. Spend a tiny bit more. You got Jordan Ibe. He's going to play. And I think he's a pretty good 5th midfielder.
Loftus-Cheek's injured. Shock.
Well, he's got to be better than Loftus-Cheek. Anyway.
Unbelievable. It's a shame. He just can't stay fit, can he? Okay, let's do our captains and our transfers. I haven't really thought about. I'm very boring indeed because transfers. I'm definitely going to bank it because I want to see what happens with Aguero, with Morata, with Son, and like Andy says, I think with the blanks coming up as well, and with new players coming in, it makes sense to bank them. So I'm going to do that. And the captaincy will have to be Harry, I think. That might change. I'm not prepared to risk Lingard, so I think it's going to have to be Harry. But Alonso is tempting. But at the moment, it's Harry. That's me. Andy, transfers and captain?
Yeah, very similar. I think I'm going to bank. If Arnautovic was confirmed out, which I don't think he's going to be, then I'd maybe switch to Richarlison. But I've got Duffy playing West Brom away. So I think I'm going to stick transfer-wise. I just want to say transfers at this time of the season. Captain it'll almost certainly be Kane. Scored a couple against Everton early in the season. Yes, they were keeping a few clean sheets. They've shipped 4 in the last 2. So I just think Kane. Lingard's really my only other option, I suppose. So yeah, Kane.
And as?
Yeah, so I've already made one transfer, which was Lingard in for Coutinho. I am not very happy having 3 Spurs attackers, and I think one of the major sources of my stress in that Swansea game was Ali, because he just looks like it's just crazy. He looks like he's going to get a red card. He's pushing players and grabbing the ball off players and fouling people, and I don't feel comfortable watching him. So I kind of want to get rid of him. If I was to get rid of him, it'd be for De Bruyne, or I'm actually looking at Hazard, bringing him back and captaining him against Leicester.
Wow, okay.
Which would be quite a bold move. I'm not really feeling Kane, so. But if I keep Ali, then it probably will be Kane. But if I don't, then
I know what you mean. I had Ali for about 6-7 weeks, and when you watch him live, you're kind of expecting a goal, but also expecting him to leave a foot in as well. And he's done it once at City, of course, and got away with it. And it is like Russian roulette, really, having Ali in the match. Not as pleasant as watching Alonso. Granville, your captain and your transfers.
Captain. I don't want to captain Kane because you're going to captain. I know you're all going to captain Kane, and I'll be captaining somebody else probably, and then I'll be crapping it for that live game on the Saturday, and then he won't do anything, and I'll be jumping for joy, and then Lingard will blank again on the Monday. I don't know. It's really. I like having a differential captain to everyone, and almost every week I've had a differential captain to everyone. It hasn't done me that much harm, but it is worrying. I know you're all going to captain Kane.
You're going so well, Granville. Do you want to?
Well, isn't the reason I'm going well because I'm being bold?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
My transfer. I don't like Arnautovic. I've got him in my team. I know he's got good fixtures and everything. He's injury prone. He's a bit of a loose cannon sometimes. I just don't like him. I don't like looking at him in my team. There's too many letters in his name for a start. So I am considering getting Silver. Silver. Well, if I got Ibe, then it released quite a lot of money for me. Yeah. I'd like De Bruyne and like the downgrade Firmino, but I'm not going to do that at the minute. Firmino's on form, so maybe Silver, maybe Pogba, but probably save.
Okay, and Jonty, yourself. I mean, you're so restrained at the moment.
Well, it's big decision time, but I didn't want to make these types of decisions now. I've got these Spurs players in. Everton, I was looking into it, but Everton, no striker apart from Charlie Austin has scored against them since I think it's game week 13 in the league. Basically, they're conceding to midfielders, and Eriksen scored against them early in the season before Big Sam came along. I don't know. It's that risk of taking out Spurs players, and so I'm either going to do absolutely nothing. It's going to take a hell of a lot of restraint to do absolutely nothing, and just leave it at that. And that leaves me 2 free transfers, which is great because that's when City have suddenly a great fixture, Liverpool have a great fixture. I can really look at that there, and I've got to feel a bit more. I've got more information there to deal with. But yeah, the lure of the likes of it's Alonso really. I don't know. People don't like it when people don't know, but I can tell you, I'm definitely Captain Kane. He's the best I have.
Simple as that. Captain Kane. Yeah. If we've learned
player, I think will score the most points.
Yes, captain and player who scores the most points. That's likely to be Harry Kane, as we learned over Christmas. I got my 2 hat tricks. I don't know. We'll see. It's good to be back for the new year. That was a very long Scoutcast, as predicted at the stop of the show. It always is. We had lots to discuss. Apologies for not bringing you a Christmas one. We had to have a break, and now you know why. Okay, it's thanks very much for joining us again, Andy, and as Granville as always, and yourself, Jonty, and we'll be back next week after game week 23 to see where we stand then. As continues is title tilt, going for the FBL crown, no pressure. It's a good night for me.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night all.